stories about the death of the bison, and it's amazing, Doug.
When you're there to see it, it just changes everything.
Changes everything about you. For everybody watching, Doug's really not that much older than us.
No, it's just the beard that we give him a hard time about.
I see.
And he is older than us.
Just to be clear,
but only like 75 years or so.
Yeah,
a generation or two or
Yeah.
whatever.
What's a couple decades here or there, you know,
Amongst friends.
Yeah. All right.
So we're back, and I'm sure you guys are enjoying what we've been talking about, learning fascinating things about the Boone and Crockett Club, and what Teddy Roosevelt did to bring about conservation in America. So, JD, continuing that path.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, prior to 1900, you have this foundation in conservation and love of the outdoors and nature that Teddy Roosevelt has. And in the election of 1900, William McKinley selects Roosevelt to be his vice presidential running mate. He had been governor of New York. We're skipping a whole bunch of other stuff with Teddy Roosevelt. He had a full life, was in the Spanish-American War, and just does all kinds of crazy stuff. But anyway, he had been governor of New York. He was actually kind of placed there by some political bosses, and they thought that they were going to get him in there and kind of just pull his strings and have him do their bidding. And it's hilarious because Roosevelt gets in and they'll, they would go to him and say, hey, we want you to do this. And Roosevelt would say, oh, yeah, not a problem. Good idea. And then he would go do the exact opposite of what he wanted. So they were really having a problem with Roosevelt, and they wanted him out of New York. So they put him in a position where he's going to have no power, and that's his vice president. And somebody, I can't remember who it was that said it, but they said, this is crazy. He is one heartbeat away from, they said, that cowboy is one heartbeat away from the presidency. And in 1901, that happens. William McKinley becomes the third president to be assassinated. He's shot by an anarchist named Leon Schogoltz.
What was Leon's middle name?
Huh?
If he got assassinated, the guy that assassinated him has to have three names. It's a rule.
Doug, what was it? You were there.
I was pretty busy that
day. Leon what?
Schogoltz.
Yeah,
CZGOLZ. I think.
Not a lot of thoughts given to McKinley. So, how long was he in for? Was it like 3 months?
No. He had been president before. Yeah, he was first elected in 1896. His vice president dies in 1899.
Okay.
So anyway, Roosevelt kind of moves into that position.
So he got named or appointed. He did.
No. He.
How does that work? I wouldn't even know.
So
back then, how did it work?
It would kind of be similar to today, to where currently, if Kamala Harris has been the vice president for Joe Biden, and if she were to step down from that, or Biden would choose to have a different running mate, they just swap her out and put somebody else in.
Huh.
Oh, I got you now.
Yeah.
So McKinley's running.
Yeah. So McKinley's running for re-election in 1900.
Yeah.
He gets elected again in 1900, and then is killed in 1901. When he is assassinated, they have to go looking for Teddy Roosevelt in the Catskill Mountains. Like he's in the backwoods. They have to go drag him out of the woods.
My kind of guy.
So that they
awesome.
So that they can swear him in as
mountains
president.
was it?
The Catskills up in New York.
So he's probably hunting deer or something.
No, he was just out. He was just he wasn't on a hunt. He was just out
Well, that's disappointing.
doing his thing.
I wonder if New
bet
York
he was
had
hunting.
moose at the time.
I don't know.
They're not
Not
very
sure,
far
no.
north and east of there,
No.
are they? And north even.
Yeah.
But
At that time, they probably did a lot of bears for sure.
Yeah. So when he comes in, a lot of people think that Roosevelt started the national park system. Yellowstone had already been well established. I think Yosemite as well out in California. But Roosevelt is going to take the dial, and he is really going to crank it up. Wind Cave National Park is one of the first ones. He also does Crater Lake out in Oregon. We mentioned how Roosevelt did taxidermy work on birds. He loved birds. And there was a particular fashion at the time in women's headwear with putting bird feathers in.
Yeah.
Bird hats, right? They had bird.
Yeah,
what
they
call
even
bird
had
hats.
ones with birds, whole
Yeah.
birds on
Yeah,
them.
yeah, which is, we look at that now and it's weird as heck.
Yeah.
But to get bird feathers, you got to kill some birds, and they
Right.
were slaughtering birds by the millions down in like the Florida Everglades. And Roosevelt was horrified by it. So one of his big things was setting aside national bird refuges,
like sanctuaries.
Yeah, like bird
Huh.
sanctuaries. That's what I was
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah.
And reserves and things like that. And there's one particular instance, and I'll muddy the story up a little bit, but he was trying to figure out like what his authority was as president. And he says, what do I need to do in order to establish this place as a bird sanctuary? And somebody said, well, as president, issue an executive order and declare it. And he goes, oh, well, then I declare it.
I declare this here fork in the river.
Pittsburgh Nelly.
Yeah. So his first bird sanctuary is Pelican Island Bird Sanctuary down in Florida.
Not far off.
But throughout the run of his presidency, he is going between national parks and national forests and wildlife sanctuaries and bird refuges or bird sanctuaries. He sets aside 230 million acres of land in this country, and really,
that's nearly as much as Doug owns. We're working towards that all the time.
Also, the teddy bear comes from Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah, another pretty wild story.
The teddy bear.
It really is. So a girl sent it to him or something, didn't it?
No. Okay, this is almost kind of a Lathan Musgrave story.
Way
if
off.
there ever was.
You were way off.
Oh, I'm thinking of something else.
Billy Idol or something.
So the story was this was in November 1902. He goes down to Mississippi. A lot of presidents now, like in their free time, they go golfing. Teddy Roosevelt will go hunting.
You know that's right.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, I want a president like that again. Anyway, it'd be awesome. So he goes down
to a grizzly bear.
He goes down to Mississippi to go bear hunting.
Mississippi.
So we don't associate Mississippi with bear hunting today, but there was a big population in Louisiana and Mississippi. And everybody in the party had killed a bear. Roosevelt had not. Okay, well, this is the president. You kind of want the big guy to kill a bear.
The big guy. Huh?
Yeah.
We've heard
Careful with your terminology now. And we're throttled.
All right. Anyway.
I love this story so far.
Oh, that's awesome.
So one of the guys.
So you want the president to get a bear?
Yeah, you want the president to get
That's
a bear.
right.
So one of the guides who's down there in Mississippi is a fascinating figure, and we don't have time to get into his story, but it's an African American by the name of Holt Collier.
Cool name.
Holt Collier was born into slavery, actually served in the Confederate Army during the Civil War, and like I said, just has this crazy fascinating story. But anyway, they run down this bear and he ropes this bear and ties it to a tree.
The African American gentleman.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this is where I say this kind of
Ties up
turns
a bear for the big guy.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This is a good guy.
Like I said, this is where it turns into a bit of a Lathan Musgrave story to me.
I like this guy.
So they tie the bear to this tree, and then they go and get Roosevelt, and they say, hey, we got a bear for you. They go out there, and here's this worn out bear tied to a tree, and they say, there he is, shoot him. And Roosevelt won't do it. He said there's no sport in that, and just kind of walks away disappointed. Yeah. Well, that story gets out. There was a political cartoon that was made about it, and a guy by the name of Morris Mitchum, who was a candy shop owner in Brooklyn, saw that political cartoon, heard the story, and makes this bear and calls it Teddy's Bear.
Huh.
So his name was Mitchum?
Yeah.
Also known for great deodorant.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I like me some Mitchum.
So here's
so
where
he makes a bear.
Yeah,
like
and,
a stuffed animal bear.
and
And
then
that's where the teddy bear.
got permission from Roosevelt to use his name on it, and then starts mass producing the teddy
Huh.
bear.
How about that?
How about
You
that?
can make money
So he
at
doesn't
anything.
mind being the butt of a joke either, then.
Yeah.
Because it kind of was. I mean,
Yeah.
But people really admired him.
sure.
And then you kind of get into like that sportsman like stuff with Roosevelt. Now here's
And if
where
there hadn't been no Teddy Roosevelt, there may never been no Build-A-Bear.
Yeah, because why would there
100%
be a
true.
need? Yeah.
Huh?
100% true.
Yeah.
So historically,
Another reason why he's not my favorite president.
so who untied the bear?
Oh,
That
Is
has
that
to be the
job-
same guy that tied him.
Okay, yeah, that job, nobody wants that job.
No.
And that was the last that was heard of it.
I'm telling you, what was his name?
Holt Collier.
Holt. That's a cool name.
Yeah.
If I was going to have another kid, I might name him
Collier.
Holt. What
Holt.
was it? Holt.
Holt.
Yeah, not
not
Hoyt.
Hoyt.
Not Hoyt.
No.
Yeah, Holt.
But
There ain't no
You know-
boy tying
you know-
up a bear.
you know a guy that has tied a bear up physically and tied him to a tree has lots of good stories.
Yeah, there was another story where he went wolf hunting down in Oklahoma. This was again during his presidency.
This is Teddy?
This is Teddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell us
A Hoyt
Holster.
Collier.
No,
Not a
no.
Holt Collier.
Yeah.
I want to know about that guy. But anyway, go with the
Definitely
wolf hunt,
research him
the
because
wolf-
oh my gosh, his
the
story's
wolf
incredible.
hunt. The wolf hunt.
Yeah,
in
so he goes
Oklahoma.
down to Oklahoma. They're hunting wolves with hounds, and they're on horseback. And Roosevelt tells the story of they get up to the wolf and it's tearing up one of the dogs. So the guide, and I can't remember his name right now, leaps off of his horse and basically tackles the wolf and puts a knee on his chest cavity and shoves his hand into the mouth of the wolf and like takes his bottom jaw and braces it down to where he can't bite him. And it's just like crazy stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. He had a
Born
wild
in the
life.
wrong.
I know.
I would
Yeah.
like to have
I've
been
dreamt
back
of
in
things
those-
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like those were men.
What's that?
Boys
We
were
were
boys
men.
and men were men.
Yeah.
I was thinking off of the Disney movie Mulan.
Be a man.
Yeah, when they're saying we were
Oh,
men.
gosh.
Here's
Right.
where Roosevelt gets a little bit. I still don't know what I think about this.
I'm just saying, the fact that you quoted Mulan takes you out of the running.
I got two girls,
Oh shoot!
We watched some Mulan.
You're forgiven for now.
Yeah.
Don't again.
I haven't done it for years, okay? Now that my girls are 23, 21, we don't sit
I
down and
feel
watch a
better
lot of
about
movies.
that.
But hey, I would watch some Mulan with my girls this evening if they want to, if they come home. Where are you going? Tell us what you're...
Oh yeah.
we
So,
get sidetracked very easily.
yeah. So after he gets
Oh, man.
he basically promises that he won't run again. After this term. This was before term limits. So 1908 he's done. And
So is he 8 years in? Or were they 5-year
Te-
terms? Because
no, it was 4-year terms. So he was in from 1901 after the assassination all the way to 1908. Yeah.
And he had said, I'm not going to run again.
He had made a campaign promise that he wouldn't run again. So Taft gets elected president. And in 1909, he and his son Kermit go on an African safari. And this is where things with Roosevelt's thought process get a little bit murky to me.
Well, you said there was something you just wasn't sure about.
Yeah.
This is what you're talking about?
Yeah. So they go.
Naming your kid Kermit.
Yeah. Yeah. He had Kermit, Quentin, Archie, and Teddy Jr. and Alice. Yeah.
He probably had a teddy bear.
Yeah. but they go to Africa. So Joe Sir and I went and hunted Africa while we were there.
Yeah.
Joe killed 3 animals. I killed 3 animals. Okay, and that was in a week of hunting. Roosevelt and Kermit, between the two of them, killed 512 animals in Africa.
512.
512, just the two of them. So I have a
Kermit
list
may
here.
not have had a teddy bear.
Yeah.
So
500 between two of them.
Roosevelt kills 9 lions. Kermit kills 8. Let's see. Roosevelt killed 15 zebras. Kermit killed 4.
Kermit couldn't keep up.
I've got to
Here's-
look at it though and wonder, like even what we've talked about already, the ecological system was way different than what it is now.
Kind of. In
Yeah.
Africa, they were having the same problems that they are now. And Roosevelt comments on the fact that he says, he's speaking specifically of the rhino and the elephant. He said, unfortunately for these animals, they have something that people want bad, and that's ivory.
Ivory.
Mhm.
So even at that time, in Africa, they were being way overhunted and threatened with extinction. So you look at this, and they're killing elephants. Roosevelt killed 8 elephants.
We
Kermit killed
have
3.
so many synthetics though today that they didn't have, and I'm not justifying what they were doing at the time, but it was definitely a different world.
It's still a problem today, though.
Yeah.
It's huge.
What is it? The
but-
elephant has ivory, but what the rhino? It's not ivory, is it?
yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
the horn.
Yeah.
The
Is it
rhino
ivory?
horn.
Yeah.
I thought it was like fingernail material. What?
Well, yeah, that it is kind of a keratin.
I thought it was like, yeah.
I might be speaking in
no, I
ignorance
think
here.
the rhino horn is
James,
ivory.
can you? we need a guy
We need
on
some
that.
clarity here.
Yeah, we need.
But anyway, so even at the time, these animals are being threatened, and Roosevelt and Kermit are going over and stab. And Roosevelt's reasoning for it, again, this is as much of a scientific expedition as it is a hunting
in
expedition.
his mind.
And in his mind, he says that these animals are almost gone, and we better get a few specimens now so that future generations will know what these animals looked like.
Huh.
Hmm.
So it would be like, again, going back
So
to the white-tailed
he's
deer.
killing lions because lions don't have nothing to offer other than a bragging rights.
Well, they're killing everything.
Right.
This is only the big game animals. He's also collecting a lot of plant specimens. He's collecting a lot of small game.
Yeah, he
small
did
animals,
stuff
bugs.
that people don't think about. Yes,
Yeah.
in that regard. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're
So-
okay. We're
So
okay.
that's one where I don't. If I was going over, okay, again, let's take the white-tailed deer population, and they're hunted down to where there's 500 nationwide. In my mind, I would treat them kind of like how I treat quail now. Quail have a season, but I don't hunt them because there's
Yeah.
so few of them. I just can't bring myself to
Yeah.
do it, and I want to preserve them. To look and say, okay, well, we've got 10 deer left in our state. I better kill one and take it to the taxidermist so that people 100 years from now will know what a
It
white-tailed
is
deer
a
looks like.
strange way of thinking.
Yeah.
for
That's
sure.
a
Yeah.
real weird way of thinking
No
about it.
question.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily drastically wrong though. But at
Again,
the same time, it is.
yeah.
Because you're taking one out of the herd.
It's
Well,
all
they didn't have
subject to the
ability to
reasoning
snap
why,
pictures
though.
too, like we
Yeah.
do. Like now, we could go out there and snap a picture of it,
Take a video.
Right.
Snap a
take a
picture.
video of it. Yeah, and they had photography back then, but it was nothing that it is now.
Right.
So what do? You run out
Yeah.
there, you know,
Well, here's the thing: if you kill it, you're killing it for the trophy aspect of it, and I'm not saying that he wasn't to a degree, but he was definitely doing it for scientific reasons as
Yeah,
well.
there was
Yeah.
more going on there for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's that's one that's always
that's fascinating.
conflicted
really.
me a little bit. But he really, I mean, in addition to the 230 plus million acres that he sets aside, he really kind of sets a precedent for conservation minded thinking in the presidents that follow. Taft follows up and kind of carries a lot of his policies forward as far as conservation and preservation. 1937, we have the Pittman-Robertson Act, which is pushed by hunters, where they say, we want to have a tax on all of the firearms and fishing equipment and things like that so that we can
Bring about conservation.
Right.
bring about conservation. We want to fund the conservation of
Is
these
that-
animals.
Is that when the DNR was established?
That I do not know. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
I'm interested to find.
I'm
that
sure it's
out.
different by state.
Yeah, because that would be a
Yeah,
state
yeah, but I
agency,
bet that those agencies came about as a result of
a
some
national-
sort of legislation that occurred.
Yeah. Now the
Yeah.
National Fish and Wildlife Service might be a different thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Some,
Yeah, I'm
something
not
to
positive on
consider.
that. Yeah.
And I'm sure that what Theodore Roosevelt carried into modern day hunting, with Fred Bear and guys like that.
Mhm.
because their mindsets were also conservation and making sure that, you know, the animals are
Right.
taken. So,
I think that's the biggest misconception that people have. Okay, so with my YouTube channel, I have a very substantial European audience
yeah.
as well as American, or I should say international audience, but a large contingent of them are European. And there's a little bit that, you know, I try and keep a lot of my personal life personal. But you know, every once in a while, you know, things slip out and,
Sure.
you know, or I'll, you know, say something that I'm doing. Um, and if people see me with a picture of a deer that I've killed, the knee-jerk reaction, this isn't just European, this is American too, is to be a little bit critical of me and say, you know, look at what a beautiful animal it is. How could you
Yeah.
kill that thing?
Yeah.
Well, again, we're kind of carrying on the tradition of men like Roosevelt and Fred Bear, and there's tons of others that we
Lots of
haven't
them,
talked
yeah.
about, that I would argue
There's some stuff going on just outside.
there's like a ghost outside or something. I would argue that for someone who doesn't hunt, who is critical of me harvesting an animal, I would say that I probably have more reverence and more respect and more love for that animal
Yeah.
than what you do. And here's why I say this. It's not to be like I'm better than you or you're better than me or anything like that. But all of us probably know a white-tailed deer more intimately than
Sure.
the average person, just because we've
Yeah.
spent so much time in the
Right.
woods studying them, know the anatomy, know feeding patterns, know all these different things.
Right.
And we also invest a stupid amount of money
Into making
into
sure they're healthy.
into
and,
making sure they're
yeah,
healthy.
that they've got good habitat. Because and a lot of people don't give consideration to this. Our last two podcasts have been pertaining to management and making sure
Mhm.
properties are set up where deer feel like that's their home, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
to where they don't want to leave that because, you know, for the same reason that we're hunting them, we're also wanting to take care of them and, you know, establish a place for them. So,
Yeah.
Right. Because I
Wait.
mean, because we want these. I want more deer.
yeah.
I want a bigger deer population.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the way down. I think people, it would blow their minds what people are doing for the deer now. All the
Yeah.
way down to, you know, in the dry part of the season, what is it they get? EHD.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that the one that comes from the bite
From
in
the
their nut in their
flies,
Yeah, the
nose?
yeah.
midge fly. Yeah.
Hunters are all the way down now to going out to watering holes, ponds, and creeks, and those, I guess, those flies
Right.
live in the mud.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it seems to be worse in the late parts of the summer because water's dried up and there's
Subsided.
It
muddy
recedes
areas.
in those
Yeah.
muddy
Yeah,
areas,
so there's hunters now. There's going out and treating the ground, spraying to
to try and kill.
try to eradicate whatever that little midge
Insecticides.
fly or
Yes,
something like
that's
that
what it is.
that bites them in the nose so that they don't get sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's pretty.
That's conservation at its finest.
Yeah, that's like I'm protecting them. Yes, so that I can hunt them, but I don't want to kill them all. I want to see a big, strong herd. I want to go out and enjoy watching them because how many times we go that we never shoot a deer.
Right.
And people think when we come back without a deer, it's because we didn't see a
Like
deer
it was a failure.
or we didn't
Right.
have an opportunity,
Yeah.
but we had multiple opportunities.
you all can
you know.
attest to the fact that I've watched way more than I kill.
I didn't want to bring that up.
Yeah.
You're a deer watcher.
He's a deer watcher.
Any one of the
No,
four of us, if we were to drive a mile outside of town and look at a 100-acre farm, all of us would look at it and we'd be like, wow, okay, there's good bedding area here. Hey, we could put a food plot in here. Here's maybe we could do this, that, or the other to help this herd. Other people will go and look at that 100-acre farm and be like, dang, I could subdivide this into 100 1-acre plots and sell it for $50,000
and totally
piece.
wrap the habitat
And
for those
completely
animals.
wreck the habitat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's probably what our problem is with rabbits and quail. Somewhat is a habitat loss thing.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, when that guy, what's his name?
Kevin Boyer.
When Kevin Boyer said the other night, in 10 acres, if you would let him do what he do on that 10 acres, he could bring a rabbit population back to just crazy numbers
Right.
of rabbits. And we just don't really have that. And I would love to see that. I was almost come more thinking about, because I've got a neighbor that's got 5 acres that butts my little 2 acres, you know.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, so we've got 7 acres. Maybe we should do something to make rabbits
Right.
go nuts in that
Right.
area.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I want to kill them then. I just love to sit on my back porch and watch rabbits hop around.
I watch
Yeah.
them every night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'll come kill yours.
That's right. Yeah, it won't affect your place anyway.
So the
It's
things
neat.
that
It is
things that
neat,
you've
though.
done on
Yeah.
your property, you've done some stuff. Last
Oh,
time I was
sure.
there, you've got filter strips and stuff like that. Is
Yeah.
that, have you seen more rabbits? since
Oh,
then?
yeah.
Yeah. So
Like on the bank of or my pond dam, every night I watch, a couple bucks chasing, a doe rabbit around. And
yeah, male rabbits are called bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the jackalope comes from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So we are the beneficiaries of a long and proud hunting tradition of conservations. There have been some people in our past who have done some pretty ugly things
Sure.
in the name of hunting. Just like in any group, there's going to be some
yeah.
Stinkers.
so there's going to be some stinkers, yeah. But there's also been a lot of good, and if you like wildlife, and if you like the outdoors and everything, man, the hunters are your greatest ally in that fight.
We
And there's
appreciate
people
that.
that recognize that.
Yeah,
There's a
there are.
lot of people that
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about this the other night. We go out to Colorado, go elk hunting, and you're walking trailheads, and they're just local people from Colorado up there hiking,
Mm-hmm.
on the trailheads. They shake your hand and pat you on the back and thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
It's a
you're do-
weird dynamic
It
compared to
is.
here.
Yeah,
It
because
is.
you're
So-
dollars. And they looked at us one time, and he was like, "Wow, is that one?" I'm thinking of one in particular. When he looked at me and Wes, he's like, "We just appreciate you're from Illinois. Yeah, we just appreciate you guys coming out here and hunting,
Yeah.
And we were like,
Wow.
"Why?"
Well,
and he said it's your dollars
That's right.
that keep these trails, and
Yep.
and it pays the conservation, the probably game wardens and park rangers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He said it helps pay that, so they watch over the land.
Yeah.
It's just, and he was like, "Thank you." We're like, "Well, I'll be."
Yeah. I never
The
gave
hippie
that-
and the hunter do go
Yeah.
hand in hand.
Well, you would never think of it like that, but there was that couple that were walking their dog and that behind our camp at Steamboat
Yeah.
when we were there that time, and we would see them kind of regularly,
Sure.
out there and,
Every few days or
and
something. Yeah.
and he said, which I just wouldn't have thought. He said, there's no way in the world they would keep these trails up as nice as they do if it wasn't for hunters wanting to use this land, because they wouldn't
Right.
do it.
That's what the guy told me in West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
you
wouldn't
go.
be a value in it, and so that is
He said
Pretty
because they
neat.
got to pay a person to walk these trails
Right.
or ride with an ATV or
Right.
with a chainsaw
Clean them and cut them
and
up.
keep them clean.
well. I mean, every 50 yards, there's a tree cut out of the way
Yeah.
where there's things falling across all the
Right.
time, and some of it's years old, and some
Yeah.
of it's happened just
Yeah,
recently.
you can see where they
But
just
they,
did it.
so it's
Speaking
pretty
of
neat.
that, there's a trail in the Colorado Parks Department needs to go check on that. Man, it is
Zimmerman's?
awful.
Is it
Zimmerman Trail.
Yeah, if they
I
could-
remember
we
Wes
would
is like,
really
"Let's go down
appreciate it."
Zimmerman's Trail." We're like, we got
Yeah.
what? It was a mess.
That jerk Zimmerman.
Yeah, whoever he is, he doesn't
You
keep his
shouldn't
trail
say
very
that. The
nice.
tags just went up $100. Probably.
All right. Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on,
Oh, yeah.
JD. It's been awesome. You've educated us and taught me things I didn't realize.
So at the end of it, Teddy Roosevelt is probably one of the biggest. You say he's the
Yeah.
biggest influence on the history of hunting that we benefit from today.
I would argue that.
You would
That-
argue that?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's that's why
different
he's,
people are going to argue different things,
Yeah.
right? But you would say,
Yeah.
and it's obvious that your knowledge is far surpassing ours to that, because I sit here and listen to you the whole time.
Right.
So I will agree with you.
yeah.
yeah, he's my favorite ever.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you as well. I did draw a moon, and I was going to write, we didn't go there. But
Oh, boy.
well, we just want to thank everybody who tuned in. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things that we ask you to do. And
Appreciate you.
yeah, we'll be back next time. We've got JD coming on for 2 episodes. So next week is going to be some good stuff. He's going to give us the wisdom of I don't know, the wisdom of a man.
The strength of a grizzly. The wisdom of a man.
So we'll be back next week with JD. Until then, we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Bye-bye.
Is that okay?